Often with CNN, it's more important what they don't put in the story than what they do put in the story. Take a look at this headline. Laid off and now evicted amid COVID-19. A Houston father contemplates homelessness in a pandemic. The embedded video, which runs for about 5.5 minutes, closely follows the written story. In the video, it follows 3 families that are evicted. The first family is shown where I stopped the video 41 seconds in. This man right here. Funny thing about the people they talk about, they're all minorities. Now, Houston has a population of 2.34 million people. Out of that, 57.63% of them are white. Yet, not a single white evictee is shown in this story. CNN would have you believe, by inference, that only minorities are being evicted in Houston. I wonder just how true that is. We all know the answer to that. Now let's go on with this story that CNN leads with. They really want to paint a sympathetic picture to this man. 20-month-old Israel Rodriguez's tiny head peeked over the second-story Houston apartment railing. His 4-year-old brother, Fabian, emerged next to him holding a package of toilet paper and an empty baby bottle. The father, Israel Rodriguez Sr., answered the door. "We ain't got nowhere to go," he pleaded with Gant and the other Harris County Constable deputies. Rodriguez had plenty of warning about his non-payment of rent, both from his apartment manager and from Harris County Court. But the warnings didn't change his circumstances. He still didn't have the thousands in rent money he owed. And by thousands, we don't know how many thousands. It could be 2,000, it could be 12,000, it could be 222,000. We don't know. I'll tell you this though, it's more than 1 month's rent. I'd be willing to bet my last dollar on that. I wonder just how many months he lived in this apartment without paying rent. And it's not like he wasn't planning ahead. Let's skip down. Look at this subheadline. Nowhere to go with $361. It's my fault because I'm supposed to be the man of the house, said Rodriguez, his voice breaking as he stood with his children in the parking lot of his now former apartment complex. We ain't got nowhere to go right now. It was a lot going on there with the corona. When it hit, I lost my job. But Rodriguez was eager to show that he was still managing to earn some money. He pulled a $361 uncashed check out of his pocket. I wanted to save it for my next apartment, he said. Really? So he had money saving up for his future apartment, but he had nothing to pay for his current one. Yeah, good planning there. Now, let me tell you about people that don't pay rent. You think it only affects huge, rich landlords? I personally don't know many, but I do know and personally acquainted with 2 landlords. Both of them have only 1 unit. The first one, he's retired military. He doesn't have a boatload of money. He's paying on his house, and he figured that once he retired for good, he wanted some supplemental income. So he bought an apartment, a condo. At first, when he rented out this condo, it wouldn't even cover the cost of mortgage, but he was in it for the long haul. He knew that over time, the condo would increase with price and that he'd be able to raise rent over time. With that double combination, he figured he'd make some good money out of it. He's at that point right now. just barely. He's making more money on the condo than he has to pay in rent. Not a lot more, maybe a couple of $100 a month. Let me tell you about another landlord I know. Well, future landlord. My nephew. He just bought a house. Originally, when he bought the house, he had intended to live in it. This was his first home purchase. This is the first property he ever owned. Now, it's in need of a little work, but he's changed his mind. He's not going to live in this house. He's going to renovate it and rent out each room, probably because of the location, to university students. He's on the hook right now for the huge down payment on the house. He's going to be on the hook for all the time and money he's going to put into renovations, all the work he's going to do himself. He's worked it out. If he doesn't rent every single room every single month, he's underwater on the project. And since he's got a wife and an infant son, it's money he can't afford to lose. So if somebody like Rodriguez was to show up right now with no money and $360 in his pocket, maybe he could afford the first month's rent with no intention of paying second, third, fourth, however many months he gets to live in there before court proceedings take place. He gets an eviction order, then he has to wait for the sheriff to show up. So this person here in Hawaii can literally live rent-free in this place for well over a year from when he stops paying rent. As for me, I can't be a landlord. I'm not that good. What I did was this instead. I decided to buy some Hawaiian Electric stock. Hawaiian Electric doesn't pay great dividends, but they've never ceased to pay dividends, if you know what I mean. They're reliable. And so I've bought the Hawaiian Electric stock and have been buying it for a number of years. I don't need it for myself. My retirement money is good enough for me. It's for my wife in case I go away first. She will need the money. However, if there are too many people like Rodriguez in Hawaiian Electric that refuse to pay their electric bills, well, see, here in Hawaii, what they just lifted was an order that didn't let Hawaiian Electric turn off your electricity if you owed a lot of money past month's rent in electric. This hurts Hawaiian Electric's bottom line, which hurts their possibility of paying me dividends, which would then hurt my wife's possibility of making ends meet. You see, I don't have as much sympathy for those people that don't pay rent and utilities as I do for the people who have worked hard to get ahead in life. That's just the way I am. One heartless bastard.